Thank you for tuning in to Cuadros' Corner. In today's episode, we have a very special guest, Veronica Delgado, RGV nutritionist. Can you please share with the audience what type of topics we're going to be covering today?
Sure. So thank you so much, Carlos, for inviting me here in your podcast. So today we're going to be covering about the importance of nutrition here in the Valley, the prevalence of obesity and diabetes here in the Valley, how to read food labels and your food products, and also how to create a healthy meal plan.
You heard here, folks. So please like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for this conversation. Veronica Delgado, thank you so much for being in Cuadros' Corner. And I believe this is actually your first podcast. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
And
first time.
How does it feel being in, first of all, in this space in Backdoor Modern Vintage? What do you think of the space? And tell me what you're wearing.
Okay, so right now, well, since I live in Texas, I decided to wear boots today. So first I had jeans, but I'm like, I think I should wear something more cool. So that's why I bought my favorite leather pants. And then I came to the studio like, whoa, like this is super cool. Like I brought my own leather jacket, but I'm like, I need something more that combines with my cowboy boots. So the stylist, she's the owner of this place, she gave me this one. I think it's pretty cool.
No, you look
goes
very,
with it.
Yeah, you look very country.
Yeah,
very
thank
country.
you.
And obviously, one of the main topics that I wanted to talk to you about is nutrition, health.
Yes.
In the Valley, there is a lot of people who have trouble with diabetes, and
Yes.
I include myself in that group where we struggle to, I guess, find that discipline to eat correctly
Yes.
and healthy. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about this this whole eating healthier. Can you tell me a little bit about going a little bit more back to when you were growing up? You know, as Mexicans, we
Yes.
tend to enjoy, you know, like conchas con soda, fritos,
Yes.
like all that good stuff. How was it for you growing up? And where did you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in Torreon, Coahuila, in Mexico. So I live in various areas in Mexico. Like I live in Torreon, Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, and Monterrey, at the high school in Monterrey. And then, well, I was going to study in Monterrey, but then since all my family came over here, like all my siblings, well, I guess I have to go follow them. So I decided to study here. First of all, I studied here at UTRGV. The program is called, nutrition, obviously, but it's coordinated program in dietetics. That's the name of it. But then, unfortunately, the program closed. So you know what? I'm just going to find another school, and it has to be a very good school, something that is more accredited. So I transferred to A M-Kingsville. So I did both my bachelor's in human nutrition. Then I did my dietetic internship with A M-Kingsville too.
Yeah.
And then I completed my master's program of human sciences.
And for the most part, whenever someone chooses their degree, I don't know if it's most of us, but you know, there tends to be some sort of experience, whether in the family or somewhere in your life, where something happens and you're like, I would like to study more of that in order to make it better, or whatever the reason is. Like, for example, my brother is studying to be an optometrist because my dad's eyesight problem. So, like for you growing up, did you ever encounter any sort of like problems where people, you know, had issues eating well, or someone diabetic in your family, or kind of like tell me a little bit about your interest in that field that made you want to study it?
Okay. Well, back in Mexico, I just remember like, well, as you know, like as Mexicans, we eat a lot of tortillas. We eat a lot of like high sugar, like drinks, like sodas, for example. I remember seeing even on my family, like especially my aunts on my dad's side, they will drink more like, or I've seen a lot of people, not just family, but a lot of people that will eat breakfast with soda or Coke.
Yeah, morning,
lunch, and dinner.
Evening.
Yes, and I'm like, so where's the water, right? So, and I noticed that people get used to it. They depend so much to it. So, so now moving back over here in the valley, like It's the prevalence about diabetes is very high, and like I said, it's all about the lifestyle that they have, the foods that they're choosing. And I know Mexican food is very good, but I think it's also important to understand that it's important to limit ourselves, right? You want to enjoy the food, but at the same time, you want to think about, okay, I know if I eat too much of this type of food, it's not going to make me feel well. So I always think you always want to think about it long term, okay? You want to prevent any disease like diabetes. And usually diabetes, if you don't take care of it or you don't treat it with time, or like you're not taking care of yourself, you're not eating well, well, you can have another diseases like what we call like heart disease or chronic kidney disease. And also like eating well, it's not only going to affect your body, but it can affect other factors in your life too.
Yeah,
Yes.
like your mind, your mental health. Like
Yes.
not feeling social, or, not feeling like being positive all the time.
Yeah.
Like, for example, fast food, we often
Yes.
eat it without really thinking what the effects might be. And, for me, for example, like whenever I eat fast food, it tastes so good during the moment, but after a while, I just feel slow, sluggish, sad sometimes. Like, it's just awful.
Yeah.
So, what can we do to, I guess, what specific dietary changes can we do to achieve those goals that you talk about so often in your presentations, where, sometimes, even though it's not easy, if you're really worried about your health and achieving those diseases with, not getting those diseases, what are those steps that we can do to achieve those health goals?
Okay. But first of all, like when I was growing up though, like I remember, like, thank God my family taught me not to eat in a certain way. Thank God my parents, they were like educated enough to teach me, okay, this is not to eat. Be careful how much you eat of this food.
Right.
So you want to limit yourself, right?
Right.
So when you were asking about, okay, what are dietary changes you can do to prevent any kind of those problems? Well, like I said, like I always tell people, I mean, I want you to enjoy the food that you like eating, right? But at the same time, you want to make sure you want to focus more on the portion control.
Right.
So we abuse a lot of that, right? So we go to restaurants here, like the portions are like double, triple about it. They're huge. So every time we see a big plate, you're always thinking, I have to finish this plate, because they always taught us
Go back to
my
your
family,
mom,
yes.
Cábatelo.
Yes, like even my family taught me, hey, you want to make sure you don't want to throw away the food, because there's a lot of people that they don't have enough to eat. So we grew up with that, right? But now you think about it, if we abuse the portion control, the portions, well, it can bring other problems, right?
Yeah.
So to prevent those problems, I would recommend just focus on the portion control, right? Limit yourself. Stop eating whenever you feel satisfied. You don't want to get to the point you always feel full, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, we always focus on our plates, it's always carbs, right? Like rice, tortillas, beans, but very little protein.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's important to add more protein in your food, because protein is going to make you feel fuller. Also, make sure you add your vegetables, right? So have your plate is going to be your vegetables. 1/4 is going to be your protein, and another 1/4 is going to be your carbs, like brown rice, tortillas.
Yeah.
So also you want to make sure you want to choose a better quality of carbs, for example. Right? So instead of the simple carbohydrates, like tortillas, they're fine, but choose more something high in fiber, like maybe a whole wheat tortilla or like a corn tortilla, right?
Yeah.
So there are many options right there. Now that the industry, they're producing more healthier options, like a bit healthier tortillas. For example, like the Carbsense from H-E-B, that's the number one tortilla that I recommend to people. Like it tastes the same as a normal flour tortilla, but it has more fiber. You're gonna feel more satisfied, and then you're not gonna be having other food cravings.
Yeah. What happens, for example, like for me, whenever I'm eating something, and just like you said, I don't feel full. What can I do? I often hear that if you drink enough water, you'll have the same feeling of feeling full. Is that like one thing that we could do to prevent us from like wanting to feel full whenever we're eating?
Okay. So you mean like just drinking water is enough?
Yeah, so like for example, like late at night, I often get cravings.
Sure.
And people have told me, oh, just drink a glass of water and you'll feel like full. You won't get those cravings anymore. So is that something that we could do when we're eating? And when you're specifically talking about portion control. So like drinking water, can that prevent us from like wanting to get that feeling of like, no, I want to get full. I want to feel that fullness.
Not exactly. Well, I mean, you still, for sure, you still need obviously you still need the water, right? But you want to make sure that you not just focus, I'm just going to drink water the whole day and I'm not going to eat anything. Just to feel fuller and not to have any cravings. Of course, you're going to feel full, but of course, you start having other symptoms like fatigue. Why? Because of course, you don't have enough energy, right? You don't have enough fuel from the food, right? So I always recommend to people, of course, drinking a water, but you want to make sure you have your 3 meals. And at the same time, you want to make sure you have your snacks in between, okay? Because snacks, it can be consist of like a healthy protein with a healthy fat, or like So you want to make sure you always combine like a carb with a protein and then a carb with the fat.
Right.
It can be like like a small apple with some almonds. That's a little snack right there.
Yeah.
You just not only want to eat the carb, but you want to make sure you always add a little bit more of the healthy fats or the healthy proteins.
Like my favorite snack is the ant, what is it called? The celery stick.
Okay.
With the peanut butter and the little almonds. No, not the almonds.
Good idea.
The raisins.
Raisins.
And log is what it's called.
Okay.
Have you heard of those?
I mean, I heard about the celery sticks with the peanut butter. I tried it. I do like them, but not with the raisins. It sounds
looks like
interesting.
a bunch of ants walking on a wooden log.
Some like a creative thing. Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
I haven't tried it before.
It's really good.
I'm gonna try it for sure.
So, often whenever someone is trying to become healthier, like for those that, might not be as educated or aware of all those nutritional facts, how can we make sure that we're getting the necessary nutrients on our diets? Like, do you suggest that we do our research before we go grocery shopping, or what are the necessary steps?
Like, do you mean more like for like reading food labels in this case, or?
Well, yeah, I guess it goes hand in hand.
Okay.
So like, I've met people where, they work out and they're like, I've had such and such amount intake of calories so far. Like they measure everything they eat. Okay. Is that something that you suggest, that we carefully read all the proteins and all the other nutrients that we're eating, like measuring that?
Yes, of course. It's a good way to measure how much calories you're eating during the day. But like I always recommend to people, you still want to read like the food labels, right? A lot of people always think about the calories, but I always recommend mostly about the quality of the foods, right? Right. If it doesn't have too much sodium, too much added sugars, right? Those are the main things that you really want to be careful when you're eating like a specific product. Of course, the total calories, you want to make sure also read the serving size. Because a lot of people think, well, and you will be amazed. Like a lot of people still don't understand that, but that's why we're here to teach them. Yeah. Right? So don't feel bad if you don't know about it, but that's why we're here to help you. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you always read the food label, right? You want to make sure how many servings it has on that specific product. And you always want to think all of that little table, it's one serving. Oh, wow. Okay? Yeah. Right? It's not the whole box, right? It's 160 calories. Oh, wow. So I'm going to eat the whole box. Yeah, not really. So that's per serving. So you want to be careful on the total fat, what we call the saturated fat. Saturated fat is not healthy at all. Of course, you want to make sure it has enough protein. The more protein, the better. Of course, the added sugars, you want to be very careful, and the sodium. Yes. You will be surprised, like all of those are more extra calories for your body, and doesn't make you start having other issues. Not just calories, or you're not abusing the calories, but at the same time, you're hurting yourself in another way, right? Too much sodium, right, can cause you in the future like a heart disease, or too much sugar, right? So you're gonna start feeling more fatigue the more sugar you eat. So I'm the type of person that sometimes gets like those Oreo cookies, and I get like the whole sleeve. Like you know how it has like 4 sleeves? Yeah.
I get the whole sleeve.
The whole sleeve.
I think it's supposed to be like 4 cookies that you're supposed to eat.
That's why you have to read always read the nutrition facts.
I'm like, I'm going to get all of it.
Yeah.
Going back to a little bit about your background, you are involved with the RGV Diabetes Association, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is and how do you help people?
Okay, so I've been a volunteer with RGVDA since 2016, right? So sometimes I get busy. I'm trying to help them as much as I can, but so RGVDA, of course, is a nonprofit organization. Okay, so they help mostly people that have diabetes and don't have diabetes, right? So they always bring different panelists like doctors. They bring dietitians just to give more speeches about diabetes, right? They mostly cover more about the complications about diabetes, how to treat them. So that's why it's important not to how to prevent it, but how to take care of it, right? So it's open to the whole community. And also, they also do, like every summer, they do like a little, what's it called?
Like exercise classes? And
Not exercise class, but like a little camp for kids.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know exactly where it's going to be the next one, but normally they just recruit like a lot of kids that either have diabetes or don't have diabetes just to keep them active, right?
Right.
So I remember on my experience, they would bring nursing students from UTRGV. So they will have them practice how to check the blood sugars, to check any symptoms that they have, like if they're having low blood sugar, like if you're going to give them a snack or not.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool program for kids in that case. But you want to make sure you always keep them active. And of course, they also give cooking classes to people, like free cooking classes. Mostly they usually do them in McAllen right now, but sometimes they do it here in West Laco.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure when it's going to be the next one, but if there's one coming up, I'll let you know right away.
We can also put the link in the description for people who might be interested.
Definitely.
There's a lot of diabetes associated problems here in the RGV. And I think we're in if not number one, I think we're definitely like in the top 3 places in the whole nation who are affected by this disease. Why do you think this place specifically is so affected by that?
It can also be maybe the socioeconomic status of the community also, maybe because we're on the border right now. So of course, there's a lot of Hispanics. Obviously, all over the United States, there's tons of Hispanics, but I think maybe because we're closer to the border, of course, there's a lot of people that they don't have enough education about eating healthy or how their environment is, right? So, of course, how is their family teaching them about healthy eating? So that's why it's important to that the RGV has like enough health professionals to help people to teach them about diabetes, how to prevent it, how to treat it. So, yes.
If you were to be in control of, what we, I guess, if you were given the task to combat this disease here in the Valley, what would be like one thing you would implement? Would it be education? Would it be bigger opportunities for socioeconomic status? Like, how would you combat this disease if you were given the and you are in a way combating the disease, but like what are those like steps that you think are the way to get better?
So of course it will be nutrition education, right? I think that's the number one thing that I will focus more on because a lot of people really don't know, right? And a lot of people don't know they even have diabetes, right? So I think it's also important not just the nutrition education, but also like what other factors can make people have diabetes, right? So a lot of people, like, they don't know that they have specific symptoms. So, like, sometimes when people have a lot of thirst, for example, or they go to the bathroom very often, those are signs of diabetes, but a lot of people don't know, right? So I think it's important to, like, us professionals gather and just, like, go to small groups of people, mostly of people that maybe they don't have access to healthcare, that it's not easy for them to have healthcare, but maybe like doing more free classes, right, about diabetes or nutrition. That way we can teach them with whatever they have available, how to have a better like health, with whatever they can afford.
Yeah.
Because eating healthy is not just about like buying like super expensive foods. I mean, it's also about what you can afford. Even there's like cheaper foods that can also help you prevent diabetes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I was looking at this video the other day where it says that if you compare fast food and the ingredients that it has now versus compared to what we used to have back in the 90s, early 2000s, there seems to be way more artificial ingredients now in the food versus back then. Why do you think? Is it because they're just trying to get more money from? Are they trying to make it like more? What's the right word? Are they trying to get us hooked more on the food? Why do you think this change has happened?
Okay.
In like fast food.
And fast food specifically. I mean, I think maybe they're using more ingredients that make the food more, what's it called? Like, how can I say that word? Like, it more like,
like it makes us want it more.
want it more, yes. So yeah, something like that, right? So I think they're adding more ingredients that way they can have like a longer shelf life of the specific foods.
Yeah.
Maybe like foods that they're gonna be more like a craving for people, stuff like that. So yes.
So it's important to, because sometimes people think that it's the same food from back then, but it's actually, I think, gotten worse because they've added so much things to it.
Yeah, I think it's mostly about like, of course, the amount of sodium that they add, right? So I think the more sodium you add to those foods, the better it's gonna taste, right?
Yeah.
So compare like if you cook from home, right? Like there's very little sodium. So I think a lot of people get used to specific flavors, right? Yeah. So that's why they go to restaurants or you cook from home and someone likes to eat a lot of sodium. So right away they're gonna get like the salt, right? They're gonna add more salt. So I think a lot of people are used to like those flavors, like those strong flavors of food.
And if someone's having trouble with portion control, what are some practical strategies that they can implement to try to, get on the right path?
Okay. So I think it's something that I always teach people about portion control. Like I always teach them about the healthy plate method, right? Like I mentioned before, is you still want to make sure that have your plate it's full of what we call the fruits and vegetables, right? So fourth it's the protein, another fourth it's gonna be like the healthy carb, right? But also another way to teach them about portion control is to kind of like demonstrating food models. It's another way we teach people by food models, right? Like how much is a serving of rice?
Yeah.
So normally one serving of rice is 1/3 cup.
Oh.
So I always teach them with those serving cups, right? Or the serving spoons, right? So how much is a tablespoon of olive oil, for example?
Yeah.
So you have to teach them how it looks visually, not just eat this. They're not gonna know.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's a good start for people. Like, if you want to learn more about portion control, start using those tools.
Got it.
Right.
And I've also seen that some people have like a subscription to, I think it's called Fresh. I'm not sure exactly what the name is, but it's like a big box that they mail to you, and it has like those meals already prepared, like all the ingredients. You just have to cook it. What's your opinion on that service?
It's called Fresh, you mentioned?
Well, there's different types.
Right? Yeah.
There's various companies that do that, but like, have you heard of those, or like what's your experience with those?
I mean, I have heard of them, but I haven't really bought those like boxes, right? But at the same time, I think it's important to still like read like the ingredients, right? How to, like if you want to try to portion control, you will try to limit yourself on your sodium, for example, you still want to make sure you read the food label of what they're offering you.
Yeah, because I was thinking that those are for people that I guess are struggling with like finding the time to go out and shop, and I think cooking is great, but I do feel that it's a whole process. Like you have to make time to go and get the groceries, make time to cook it. You know, it takes a couple hours to get all that ready. So I think that could be an alternative for those that might be struggling with finding the
time,
time
maybe.
to cook. Yeah, because
Okay.
it comes already like with everything there. You just like put it in, cook
Yeah.
it, and boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like, I always teach people, like, I really don't have time to cook, for example.
Yeah.
But I always try to teach, at least choose one day of the week, right? It can
Yeah.
be a Sunday or whichever day is easier for you. I mean, at least it will may probably take 2 hours of your day, like if
Yeah.
you want to start eating more from home. But I think it's worth trying it at the same time because, of course, in the long term, it can be more expensive if you buy too much from restaurants. And of course, it's not too healthy,
Yeah.
right? Because, of course, they use another type of ingredients. Like I said, it's a lot of what we call sodium or sugars or like saturated fat.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to teach people to start practicing like healthy eating at home, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to your title, nutritionist. What are nutritionists meant to do apart from educating the public? What's like the role? Like, what attracted you to this career? What
Okay.
was it about being a nutritionist that you're like, I want to help people and I want to do that? Or what was behind your thinking?
So I have so many pathways before I choose nutrition, right? First of all, it's completely different. It has nothing to do with it. So all my siblings, they're engineers. So I kind of want to follow that path, but I'm like, my dad, he's an engineer. All my siblings are engineers. But I was like, maybe should I be an architecture? But then I started reading more about it. I'm like, nah, this is not me at all.
Yeah.
So then I noticed I love science at the same time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like biology, anatomy. So I remember I was always fascinated by reading books about science, especially biology or like anatomy
Yeah.
physiology. And then I wanted to go to med school. That was
Yeah.
back in Mexico. I
Yeah.
noticed a lot of my friends, they want to go to med school. But then reading about nutrition, right? So I think what really intrigued me about becoming a nutritionist is I think it's another way to prevent disease, right? I think I think food is always medicine, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a way to start. It's a good way to prevent any disease, right?
And who doesn't love food,
I love food.
right?
I'm a foodie here, so
We always are, looking forward to sitting down and munching out on something
Yeah.
or eating. It's always like a mood changer.
Yeah.
Like, that saying, hangry.
Yes.
You're hungry and hangry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I and it's science, food science
Yeah.
in a way. So you're a
Yeah.
food engineer in a way as well.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about being a nutritionist?
Okay. So based on my experience, like I like more about the progress of the other person. If I'm teaching someone about healthy eating or if someone wants to lose weight, I think what my favorite part is the progress, right? Seeing people happy, you making sure you're changing that person's life, right? Because some people, they don't have that support around, right? So probably someone has like, I don't know, like we mentioned diabetes, right? So they don't know how to control their sugars.
Yeah.
But when you're teaching about, hey, you want to start eating this way, you want to control your portions or start counting your carbs, right? Or be careful with the added sugars, anything of that. So when they learn about it and they start seeing changes, they start improving their sugars. I mean, you can tell that they get very happy about it. I've
Yeah.
seen it before, like as a student now with work right now, but and also if they also want to lose weight, right? A person like they have like a specific goal
Yeah.
and they know they're reaching it or they're getting closer to the goal, you can tell that they get very happy. They get very motivated. So I think that's my favorite part, knowing that you're changing the person's life. That's always been my favorite part about it.
And you've obviously have led classes. Like, for example, I think it was like a month ago, you went to Fundación Amor Infinito
Yes.
and you gave a class there. I was there with my father and my mom.
Yeah.
And you really went in depth about kind of like everything that you're talking about. Like, how long have you been doing that? And what has been like, has someone ever like come up to you and been like, hey, thank you, you've changed my life? Or has that ever happened where someone comes and thanks you or does anything like that?
Not specifically though. I mean, like I said, from the Rio Grande Valley Diabetes Association, like sometimes they have the opportunity to give cooking classes, right? So I mean, if it's one person, I feel good teaching that specific person about a nutrition class. But that person wants to change their life, their lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? So I think I've never had the experience about someone getting close to me. Hey, like this is doing very good, but I mean, maybe on my experience as a student, like, hey, I changed this person's life, but like in the long term, like many years pass and they come back to me, I haven't had that experience yet.
You're relatively young still, so you might have.
Yeah, you never know. I'm probably change someone's life without notice it. So.
And do you consider yourself? You mentioned that you were a foodie, but like, I'm assuming you love to cook.
I do. Yes.
And have you ever considered like maybe having like a restaurant or anything like that, or are you strictly like more on the educational side of things?
I think I'm more in the educational side of things, right? But at home, I'm more creative though. Like, if I get inspired, hey, I want to cook this recipe, like I want to alternate it in a healthier way, kind of gets me excited about it. So that's what I know. That's what I normally do sometimes. Like I start like reading recipes. So how can I change this recipe to a healthier one? Yeah. So that's what I do sometimes. Nice. I remember back in college in Kingsville, I have this class that it was called Experimental Foods. Nice. So I think we all choose a recipe. So it was for the whole semester. So I remember I think it was like a banana muffins or something like that. Not a healthier version. But every single class, we changed the different ingredients until we see how the final product was to a healthier way. So that was a pretty fun class. And then at the end, we gave a presentation about it. So it went out pretty good. Wow. So I think it was called Experimental Foods. So we changed like all the ingredients from non-healthy to completely healthy.
I once, because I work at UTRGV, I once went to this, I think it was a nutrition class where they're teaching you how to cook. And I went and I was recording. And at the end, they had like different types of ingredients that they added. Like some of them, they used a certain type of cheese or a certain type of milk or whatever. And my favorite part was at the end when they're like, do you want to try all of them? And I was able to try. I was like,
I took that class before I went to UTRG actually.
Yeah.
It was a pretty fun class. Yeah.
I had fun.
So you choose like a lot of like pastries. It's a lot of eating, but it's fun. I think at the end, you do a presentation to the rest of the staff from UTRGV or like certain professors. I think you make like a restaurant style presentation, right? So I think we choose Italian food, right? So one group was doing the pasta, one group was doing like I don't know, like the sides, right? Or like like the main entree. The one group was in charge of that, and then the other food was more about the appetizers. I did the dessert. So I think it was a lemon bun cake or something like that. Wow. It was pretty good. It was not too healthy, but it was pretty good. I was like, I enjoy eating. Yes. Yeah, it was more about the quality, right? But still, it was a lot of fun in the class.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Like just eating food and trying it out and cooking it. What are some misconceptions that people have about nutritionists? Like one
example for
example, like how I just said, like, you must love to cook, or you must always be thinking of recipes. Like, is there any misconceptions or any stereotypes that people might have about nutritionists that you want to talk about right now and be like, no, that's not true?
Okay. I think one of the misconceptions, people always think, oh, she eats 100% healthy. Yeah. Like, she really watches herself, what she's eating exactly. I'm not like that. I have the experience, even when I go to parties, and a lot of people always see what I serve. Like, I always tell people, you gotta relax. Just relax. You gotta enjoy your food. I always tell people, you still wanna enjoy your food that you eat, right? Yeah. Not abuse about it, like if there's a food that's not too healthy, but you still once in a while, you wanna enjoy yourselves with a specific food. If you enjoy that, enjoy it. Like, don't, don't feel the pain right away. Oh my God, like I'm doing something bad right here. No. So don't punish yourself about it.
Like a cheat day.
A cheat day. Like you gotta have your cheat days once in a while, right? But of course, not every day. Yeah. But you gotta enjoy food. I mean, you live once, right? Of course, you live once. You want to take care of yourself, obviously. But still, once in a while, you gotta enjoy life. That's my main thing to say.
What's your go-to cheat meal? Like, what do you love to have that you're like?
I mean, there's so much options out there. Of course, I like tacos, obviously, right? But what we call here Taco Tuesday, like once in a while, I'll go to Taco Tuesday. But I think that's my number one thing to go. Or pizza, obviously.
Do you have a taco place that you go to often?
Taco place, I mean, there's several.
But
I
what's
mean,
your
there's,
go-to where you're like, I'm gonna go there today,
I think,
and I'll
maybe
share mine with you.
you share mine.
I'll share yours.
So far, the last one that I tried, it was pretty good, was El Plebe
Oh, okay.
on Main
I've
Street.
gone there. Yeah, it's
El
good.
Plebe. I think the drinks are pretty good there in
Yeah.
the Plebe. So I think that would be my go-to. Which one is another one? There's several ones. I mean, here in the Valley, it's
Yeah.
full of good tacos.
The one that I go to often is Los Primos Saga, and it's
Where is that
here in
located?
Westlaco. Here
Where's that go?
on International.
Okay.
You go north.
Los Primos.
It's like 2 miles north. Los
Okay.
Primos Saga.
Okay.
Saga stands for Salinas Garcia
Okay.
because they're like two families, primos.
Okay.
But they're like China Nuevo Leon style
Okay.
tacos. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
if you ever tried the tacos from China Nuevo Leon. I don't know if you ever passed by China Nuevo Leon.
Actually, I haven't. I mean, I passed through, but I never stopped to eat tacos in
So
there.
like it's super famous for the tacos that they have.
Okay.
And yeah, that's kind of like I think I go at least twice a month
Okay.
to Los Primos,
Yeah.
and it's really good. It's the quality of the meat is so good.
Yeah.
So good. And then they have this thing called chiles puercos,
Okay.
which is like basically like a taco, and it has a jalapeno in the middle, sliced open with like meat and cheese.
Okay.
It's really good.
It's really good. I need to try it though. It's
It's
primos. I need to
super
go try it.
delicious. Yeah, it's super good.
Yeah.
So one thing that I did want to ask you was that, you know, reading food labels, like for those that are, you know, brand new to like really seeing what they're eating and reading the labels and making sure that they're getting healthier foods in their system. Like, what are some tips that you can give for those people that are like, how do I read food labels? Like, what do I need to look for? Like, what's the number that has to be or less or more? Like,
Okay.
you know, what are some tips for reading food labels effectively?
Effectively. Like I said before, I think the food labels, you can barely see like the amount of calories and the serving size, and also the amount of serving that it has like per container. But right now everything changed. Now they made it big numbers, right? Because I think those are pretty important points to see on a specific food label. So I think, like you mentioned, like I mentioned right now, you still want to see the serving size, the calories, right? The added sugar specifically, you want to be careful with that, and the sodium.
Yeah.
One example that I always give to people, I know this is so good, right? But Campbell's soup, it's a pretty good example that I always give to people, right?
Campbell soup.
Campbell's soup. Of course, something we get sick from our stomach, easier way, Campbell's soup, right? But of course, if you get sick, it's okay to have it once in a while, but not very often. A lot of people, I'm just gonna get something easy, Campbell's soup.
Nice.
Well, Campbell's soup, it's a very small container, right? So you will be surprised, just half of it has like 600 milligrams of sodium. 600 milligrams of sodium. So that's like only half of it. Imagine if the full thing.
Yeah.
How much sodium is that?
That's a lot.
So you will need like 1,200 milligrams, like a healthier way. But you eating all of that, it's mostly about what you need half per day.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
So yeah.
Campbell soup. I always drink my Gatorade whenever I feel sick.
Yeah. Even the Gatorade, too, you want to be careful because sometimes the Gatorade has a lot of sodium, right? But always go Gatorade Zero.
Yeah. I always get the pepino one.
Yeah.
That one's my favorite.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to let people know that's on your mind, on your chest? Anything that you want to just like get out of your system? Let people know, people that are watching or hearing right now. Anything on your mind?
Yeah. So, of course, there's a lot of, I know the internet, there's so much information in the internet, but you have like a specific issue, right? Or a specific disease like diabetes or any heart disease. I recommend just always go with your healthcare professional, right? Or look for opportunities, right? Like read the newspaper or the media, right? To look for other resources that can help you, teach you how to have a healthier life. Or I'm here also. Like I said, Carlos, you can also put my Instagram there.
I will.
If you have any questions about nutrition. And I have this specific website. It's called Simply Healthy by Vero, right? So I know we're going to put it there on my IG account, but it's Simply Healthy. So that's where I normally put all my like recipes that I like to create.
Yeah.
If I'm inspired, I put something there.
Nice. Is
So-
that the Instagram that you also shared?
Yes, that's the one that I share you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm like, yeah, you have any questions? I mean, please reach out to me or any other healthcare professionals. There are so many out there that don't just follow like, any specific like advice from anyone, but it's if you want to be more in depth, you already have a disease, just go with someone right away. Someone that can help you, has a practice about it,
Yes.
or the science, the background
Yeah.
about it.
And then
Yeah.
my last question is, what are your goals for the next 5-10 years? Like, where do you hope to be with your degree and your education and everything that you're doing?
Okay, so of course, 5 years from now, of course, I do want to become a certified diabetes educator, right? So of course, it requires a lot of hours to be a dietitian. You need to have a certain years as a dietitian. Then you take an exam. So that one you will become a certified diabetes educator. Not just about nutrition, but I will teach you more about how to like choose the insulin that you will need, right? We know a lot about insulin, more in diabetes education.
Yeah, like my dad has the one that you attach like a sticker.
Okay,
And then
like a little patch.
Yeah. And yeah, that's super helpful.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be worried about
Yeah.
doing it himself.
Yeah.
Berto, bueno, thank you so much for coming.
Yes, so thank you so much, Carlos.
And sharing all your knowledge and expertise.
Yes.
I think people who listen to the podcast are going to have a better hope of, eating more healthier, and they could follow you if they have any questions, of course.
Yes.
I think you're doing such a great job helping the community, sharing your knowledge. So thank you so much for giving us your time.
Yes, and something I want to say to people, one last thing. Like if you have a specific goal, right? Never give up on a specific goal. I think that was always my go-to. Like if you have a specific goal in life and you feel like, okay, that's the end of it, you still want to keep going, right? And never give up. If you want to lose weight, for example, or if you have diabetes, hey, don't give up. Okay, I mean, it's a slow process, but don't feel desperate right away. So we're here to help you.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
for everything that you've been sharing, and I'll be able to put all the information here so people can, go and ask you more questions, because I'm sure they have questions.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.